So you want to start a water fast and you think you have an idea of what to expect. Well, in this video, I am going to blow your mind. A 21-day water fast is not a walk in the park, and I'm going to share my experiences day by day to show you what to expect, the things that I personally did not expect and I struggled with. And I'm also going to give you a practical tip that is going to change the game for you if you want to do a successful water fast. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video where I will be sharing that tip. But for now, I am going to introduce myself if you're new to this channel. My name is Del. I'm a lawyer, entrepreneur, and all-round biohacking nerd. I always want to know about how to optimize myself physically and also my career, and also to really enjoy the best that life has to offer. This is why this is a lifestyle channel. If you're new to it, welcome. I hope that you will subscribe. Make sure you like this video and also interact and engage, because I'm doing more of these water fasting videos because you guys commented on the last one and I got the impression that you enjoyed it and you learned a lot. So I'm creating more videos for you. So if you want to encourage me to create videos like this, then make sure that you join the squad and you interact and you engage. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. Good to see you again this week. And now let's dive right into the juice of the video. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, this is going to be a breakdown of what it was like for me to do a 21-day water fast. I'm not going to do it as day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, but I'm going to do it as milestones. And these are the milestones that I've observed that most people who do 21-day water fast or extended fasts go through. So the first one is day 1 to 3. Oh my goodness. For a lot of people, they struggle with this, but personally, I didn't. And the reason why I did not struggle with it was because I had been eating a lot before my water fast. So I had a lot of stored carbohydrates in my body, I guess. And I think before you start a water fast, you have to really be honest with yourself as to where you're starting from. A lot of people advise you to start a water fast with keto because after your first 3 days, your body enters into ketosis. Apparently, it's a lot easier to be able to endure the fast. But I started out, I think the day before, I'd had a tub of ice cream, I'd had a carby meal. So in my head, I knew that Dels, if you are feeling hungry in the next 24 to 36 hours, it's not hunger because you've eaten. Your body had Haagen-Dazs. It will continue eating that for the next few days. So you're good. So I think I went in with that mindset. So my first 3 days were not too bad because I was honest with myself. I was like, girl, you had a massive dinner last week, some 5-star gourmet meals. You are not hungry. It's just psychological. And I think that that's a tip for you guys as well. If you observe your eating habits before your fast, there is a big difference between true hunger and just being bored. So days 1 to 3 were quite easy for me. Now, day 4 to 5. I'm going to pick up my notes that are just over here because I wanted to make sure that I caught everything. So I'm going to take a step back because I've just seen here that I didn't mention something that I experienced in day 1 to 3. Growling. Growling doesn't mean that you're hungry. I'm not the specialist to talk about this, but there's so many articles and stuff that you can check on Google that will tell you, explain the difference between true hunger and just your body trying to understand why there's no food in your stomach, which is kind of different from your normal routine. So I would say for day 1 to 3, that's something that stood out. But on day 4 to 5, I literally described this in my journal as hell on earth. I knew that something was off when I woke up in the morning and I was just like swaying. I expected that, to be honest, because I did my research. So I was like, what is happening? But one thing that I had missed in my research is the value of electrolytes. So potassium, magnesium, and I think there's something else that falls under the umbrella of electrolytes. So I quickly Googled, I was like, why do I feel so dizzy? I was meant to break my fast on day 4, but I just felt completely awful. I was like, I don't even have anything to break my fast with right now because I was trying to avoid temptation. So the first thing I did was try and research, okay, what can I do? Why do I feel so awful? And then I found out about the electrolytes thing. So I went on a walk that would take me like 20 minutes to the health food store. It took me about like 40 because I was pacing myself. I didn't want to overexert myself and kind of, I don't know, faint on the street or anything like that. I mean, even explaining to people why you haven't eaten in 3 days days is just quite a big deal. So I bought electrolytes, I came home, and then I had that. And I would say about an hour later, I felt so much better. But someone pointed out to me that the electrolytes I bought actually don't have enough potassium and magnesium. So maybe it was kind of like a placebo effect, but it definitely helped me feel better. So this all happened in the morning. So by afternoon time, I was like, I'm feeling good. I don't really feel like eating. Let's see if we can make it through to day 5. I mean, you're already on day 4. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So that's what I did. And I made sure that I rested. So I was feeling awful, like I mentioned, but resting kind of helped me cover. So that was my day 4 and day 5. I'm going to look at my notes to make sure that I didn't miss anything there. And actually, yeah, so the reason why day 4 and day 5 are usually very difficult for people is because your body then makes a switch from burning carbohydrates to entering into full-blown ketosis, where it's using your stored fat to burn energy. If you think of it this way, it's like your whole body is going through this massive change because that's not how you typically burn energy, right? So it's kind of, your body's like, what the hell is happening? That's how I felt. It was kind of like my body was like, what are you doing? Remember, I've never done a fast this long before. I just went from 0 to 100. I don't recommend it for anyone. And that's why I kind of feel like I need to really break this down, my experiences, so that you guys are aware I'm not your doctor, and then you can make your own decisions as to what you want to do. So let's look at the next thing that happened. Day 5 to 10 was much better, but it was at this point that I started getting headaches. And I think that this is what people say is the keto flu, is one of the symptoms of the keto flu. I can't really explain that in detail, but it's kind of like, again, your body is adjusting to burning ketones, which is something to do with your stored fats, and you just feel a bit woozy. So that happened to me from, I would say, from day 5. And then the dizziness came in as well. And also, I would say this is the point that hunger came in also. Again, I had to convince myself. It's almost like you're having a gentle conversation with yourself. I always say to people, never be harsh with yourself. Don't be like, oh my God, you've been a greedy pig for like forever, so you have too much stored fat, deal with it. But you kind of have to be gentle. It's kind of like having a conversation with a friend and just saying, okay, you might feel like you're hungry right now, but you still have stored fats. And the way we understand it from our research is that the average human with a decent amount of fat can last for 60 to 90 days without food. Again, the average human, it's not, everyone is different. So just because the stat is there, it doesn't mean that you have to follow it as Bible, right? And you have to really pay attention to how you're feeling. If you're feeling awful, break it. But I knew that at this point, I wasn't feeling awful. I was just hungry and I missed the routine of eating. But again, when I sat with myself, I was like, am I really hungry? I kind of could eat a burger right now, but I'm not really feeling it. You have this like weird conversation, because normally what you do is when you feel hungry, you're just like, I'm gonna go to the fridge, especially now during quarantine time. Bored, fridge. Hungry, fridge. Sad, fridge. Happy, let's celebrate with a cake or something. Do you know what I mean? So when you don't have that option, when you take away that option, you can have a really honest conversation with yourself as to how you're really feeling. And I was like, I think I can handle this. I'm not like starving, which is very important. I don't feel ill. Yes, I have a headache, but I don't feel ill. Okay, let's see what else was here. I could not stand up for too long and do anything crazy. So working out was completely out of the question. Definitely do not do this if you're water fasting. I went on some long walks and stuff, but nothing more than 40 minutes. And when I felt too tired to walk back home, I would take the bus. Like in London, it's safe-ish to do that right now because hardly anyone is taking public transport. It's sanitized and all of that stuff. It's actually even free. So I would go out every other day for a long walk and then come home and then rest for the rest of the evening. Okay, so what else did I have here? I had a metallic taste in my mouth. At this point, my tongue was turning white, which was quite strange. But again, I'd read about this. This is something that happens when you are deep into ketosis. Okay, let me tell you something. This is something that I'd seen the memes and stuff, but I hadn't really paid attention to it. And I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's a bit gross. But if you're fasting and you feel like you want to fart, don't trust it, because a waterfall could explode out of your butt. That's all I'm going to say about that. So don't forget, if you're fasting and you think you want to fart, don't do it. If you're in public, oh my God, do not do it. Just don't. So yes, do not trust the fart. And the next thing is I was exhausted a lot of the time. So what I did was schedule a lot of my client meetings for the morning time so that I could recover in the afternoon. And if you want to do a fast, it's so important for you to make sure that you don't have anything that is super strenuous or that can take up a lot of your energy, because quite frankly, if you are going to do a long fast and you're hitting like 7 days, 10 days, you are not going to have as much energy as you typically have. So it's very important to be strategic about your obligations. And for me, my clients are my number one priority. And I didn't tell any of them that I was water fasting. I just booked things for the beginning of the day when I had a bit more energy, when I'd taken my electrolytes, and then I didn't have anything on from about 3 p.m. or so that I could rest. And rest is a big, big theme of this. Okay, what else is in here? Day 10 to 14 is where I experienced the mental clarity that a lot of people talk about. And I did briefly allude to this in the video that I posted about the whole fast experience. But I wouldn't say that I had mental clarity and so much energy. So many people say that, but that wasn't my personal experience. It was like I would have mental clarity, but I would be super tired, or I'd have a lot of energy and then my brain would be a bit foggy. So it was kind of like one or the other. So that was how like days 10 to 14 went down primarily. But this was also where there was a big shift where you're like, I can do this. This is tough, but oh my God, I haven't had sugar in 14 days and I don't feel weird. I haven't had coffee in about 10 days. I think I stopped having coffee without even realizing this on day 4 or day 5 when I started taking electrolytes properly. So all of these things that I felt like I was a slave to, like I told you guys, I am a sugar fiend. And it was incredible to me that I kind of woke up on day 14 and I was like, girl, you did this. And on day 14 I had energy as well. So I was like, oh my God, look at me. I can definitely go for another 14 days. So I thought I was going to make it to day 30. You will find out soon why that was a myth. But I woke up on day 14 and I was like, I felt good. I was so proud of myself. I couldn't believe that I did it. So I decided to work out. Big mistake. Guys, I definitely do not recommend you doing this because it essentially screwed up the rest of my fast. No joke. Because your body is meant to be in recovery when you're fasting. There's so much changes happening. And sometimes it can be deceptive because you feel good, but don't test it. Like common sense tells you, let your body relax. But hey, I was having a blip at that point and it worked out and it was awful. So I've talked about that in the previous video. You can find out what happened in that video. But that basically just completely threw me out of sync. Like my muscles were dead. I wrote this here. And then I think on the evening of the 14th day, I was talking to a friend and she was like, oh, like, well done. You know, this is crazy. I can't believe you, of all people, were able to do this. And she was like, how long are you going to go for? They say it takes 21 days to form a habit. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go for 21 days. And then I think that evening I was having a shower and I came out and I was like, oh my God, like my face looks different. My stomach looks different. Everything kind of looks different. I can really see the difference now. Let's see what's going to happen by day 21. So I'm going to put some of the pictures here so that you guys can see it. But I would say that that's the first time I started paying attention to physical changes, because I told you guys in my previous video that the main reason why I went on this fast was to kind of get a hold on my discipline and like lose my sugar addiction. So let us now get into the last few days of the fast. This was not a game. This was quite possibly one of the hardest things I've ever done. Okay, so let's just make sure that I didn't forget anything. So some of the things that kept me going up until day 14 was I developed this obsession with watching my 600-pound life on YouTube, because I'm just like, oh my God, if you keep eating sugar the way you do, don't be surprised if you end up on one of these TV shows. And that kind of kept me like motivated to understand emotional eating and compulsive eating. And I was like, okay, you definitely don't have these things that these people do, but you can see that when you don't really address a bad habit, it almost feels like overnight it becomes something that you lose control over, and things that you're like could never be me, you wake up and you're like, oh dear, how did I get here? So shows like that kind of helped me to just kind of assess like, you don't want to get here. But I would also say it was around day 14 that I also developed my obsession with MasterChef. I would like watch cooking shows and it felt like I was eating. So I don't know if this is going to be a strategy for you guys, but watching those cooking shows kind of made me feel like I was eating too. So I would definitely recommend something like that if you can handle it and it doesn't tempt you into eating. So day 18 to 21 was when I finally was like, I am over this, over it. But like I mentioned, my friend had mentioned that 21 days to form a habit thing. So I was like, we are going to try our absolute best. But I was completely over it. I'm going to add some pictures so you can see how over it I was. I was just like, I just could not be bothered. But again, I was like, I've never done anything this intense before. I've made it this long, so I might as well see it through. So that's kind of the thought process that was going in my head. But in terms of symptoms of what I had, it got so mental that my teeth would start grinding involuntarily. So I'd wake up in the morning and then my teeth would just be like eating, but eating nothing. I wasn't doing anything about that. So I wouldn't say it was a teeth grind, because teeth grind is, I don't know, is it like when people have addictions and stuff and they just like grinding their teeth? But this was different. It was almost like I was eating, but I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't thinking about it. It just kind of happened. And it would go really quickly. It wasn't like an all day thing. It would happen for like 3 seconds. And I'm like, another thing that came up at this point was that I started having dreams or nightmares about food. I'd gone to a big party and I was eating pizza or Chinese. And those dreams were like super lucid, so it felt like I was eating and I'd wake up in a panic like, girl, what did you do? So those were absolutely bizarre. But you know, when you wake up and you're like, okay, whew, thank God I didn't break my fast. But like the first few times that happened, I'd be like, what did I do? Where did I go? You've been so naughty. Who goes out during lockdown? Obviously I didn't do any of that, but that's something that would happen. And then at this point, majority of my energy was kind of gone. Like before, I could do like 6 hours of hardcore work in a day. I just couldn't do that anymore. And luckily, because of quarantine, it kind of meant that I wasn't as busy as I would be normally. And I didn't take on any contracting jobs at this point because I was just like, I need to focus on making sure I get through this thing. You will definitely not have enough energy as you typically do. I had a number of people message me about this, and I think a few of the people that messaged me surprisingly were quite senior people in their companies and stuff, and they're like, look, like I really want to make sure that I deliver, but I am worried about my productivity levels, and I'm just going to keep it 100 with you guys. You will not have the same energy levels. That is just it. Okay, so what else is there? Oof, I forgot about this. Nausea. I felt like I was going to vomit. Like a lot of the time, it was like I was going to throw up. I hadn't eaten anything. I'd eaten nothing but water, coffee, and electrolytes, water and lime, water, apple cider vinegar for 21 days. There was no way I had anything in me, but I felt like I wanted to throw up all the time. That wasn't pleasant. This was from day 19 to 21. So I'd probably say for around at least 40% of the day, I would feel like I wanted to throw up. And that's probably because of the metallic taste in my mouth. And I know that there's other scientific things going on, but I don't want to pretend that I can explain it to you. So I'm not going to do that. I just read about it, saw that it was kind of common. And then I was just trying and rest as much as possible, because when I was sleeping, I didn't feel like I wanted to throw up. And then I've highlighted here that honestly, and this was the big tip I wanted to share with you, there is no way, unless you're a superhuman, that you can get through a 21-day water fast without rest. I would say that you need at least 50% of your day spent horizontal. So for me, that time was spent learning, because my brain could still process stuff, but I just could not move. Learning, watching MasterChef and the cooking shows, and then trying to learn about food so that I didn't put on the weight back after the water fast. So in my next video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the tips for a successful water fast. These are comprehensive things that got me going, but if there's anything that you are going to take from this video, is that you actually need to schedule time for your rest. It's a complete non-negotiable, and I think that this is the reason why a lot of people don't even make it past day 5, because they think that they can have their normal routine or do workouts and all of these things on a water fast. That you are stressing your body and you have to look after your body. So that is the summary of my 21-day water fast. What did you guys think? If you've done a water fast like this before, how did you find it? Share your comments and your tips below. Let me know what else that you would like to know. But like I mentioned, the next video is going to be my breakdown of how you can have a successful water fast. And then the video coming up after that is how much weight I have put on since my water fast, because I think by the time I post that video or get around to filming it, it will be at least 2 to 3 weeks since my last water fast. I think right now it's been about 10 days of the water fast. I will probably film that video tomorrow, so look out for that. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so. Again, like, comment, subscribe. I know this is a long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I made sure that I wrote down all of the milestones so you know what to expect and you can do your water fast consciously and healthily. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'm glad that you took time to spend it with me today. Bye.